Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the Normal Show, the latest and greatest in talk shows. Right up there with The Tonight Show, The Late Show, The Daily Show, plenty of other great talk shows out there, but this is the newest one. And today, on the inaugural episode, coming to you pre-recorded from New York City, we even got a bagel. The bagel, I had the other half earlier, and I kept this here in case I wanted a snack. We're going to be talking about a new philosophy that I've stumbled upon. And this is really going to be the guiding philosophy for this show. And that philosophy is, why not just keep everything the same? The philosophy is that of the status quo. Every single person who's involved in politics or even just the world is trying to shift things into their direction. They think, I have this amazing idea. Why don't we do this and drag the world this way? Or why don't we drag the country this way or the city this way? Whatever level of government or, region you're talking about. But I think we need to take a step back, metaphorically smell the roses, if you will, and talk about how great everything is right now. Why not just keep the status quo? And I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, the status quo inherently changes itself. If the status quo, for example, is that of technological innovation, then that is inherently going to change the society. You can't just freeze things in place. You can't super glue society together like that. And to that I say, think bigger. Think same. Okay? Apple was very famous for their little slogan, think different. But I don't know about that. I'm not sure if that's what we need right now. I think what we need to do is preserve the neoliberal world order. We need to preserve the capital-intensive and capital-centered world order. And more than that, we need to embrace the the current global interventionism that has really defined a lot of the 21st century. I'm sort of fine with that as well. I'm fine with basically everything all the time that's here right now. And you may be thinking, what do I mean by right now? Do I mean, this decade, this year, this month, this day? Because governments can move exceedingly quickly now and often act somewhat erratically. What I mean by right now is I mean not the day-to-day shifts, not the tide. I'm talking about the ocean here, okay? So imagine this. Everybody is arguing about what color the front door should be, okay? Red, blue, green, yellow, black, white, whatever. All great colors. I don't care. I'm talking about the house, okay? The house stays the same. And sure, does that include the front door sometimes? Maybe, sure. But something that's beautiful about the status quo, what people don't appreciate about the status quo, and this is one of those things that gets me a little bit teared up sometimes, a little tearful, because the status quo goes super underappreciated. And sometimes I can find that relatable to some extent. But it's that the status quo does allow for some variation. It does allow for freedom and flexibility. It's not completely rigid, as people would have you believe. In fact, you know who the rigid ones are? The rigid ones are the fringe. The rigid ones are the extremists. Us centrists, us status quo fans, we are the normal ones. Because at the end of the day, things are going great. In general, things are fine. You know, they're really not that bad. Why aspire? You know, I mean, you're just gonna make yourself disappointed. Why try to, I don't know, move beyond into some realm of fantasy when you could just enjoy reality? Just take a chill pill, which is brought to you by the status quo, by the way. The chill pill. You know, Papa Zan, take some medication, brought to you by the status quo, and enjoy the status quo. And you may be thinking, oh, well, if you have to take medication in order to tolerate the status quo, obviously I'm talking about people who won't stop yapping about how much they hate the status quo. For like 90% of us, for us normal people, you know, we're all good. We're fine. That was a specific diagnosis for those who can't simply get politics out of their heads. Now, you also may be thinking, isn't the status quo diversity? Aren't fringe ideas part of the status quo? And what happens when the status quo gets shifted? Well, that's a very good question. If the status quo gets shifted too dramatically, not a fan, because it is inherently anti-status quo. If the status quo evolves, and by evolve I mean to build on previously, something that came before, and it moves slowly, like a ship sailing at sea, like an oil tanker, then that makes sense. You know, there's going to be natural evolutions in any world, in any system, but it's overturning that in favor of something, frankly, bonkers, that I am not a fan of. So, what do we say, folks? Here at The Normal Show, we like normal. Think sane. Love the status quo. And finally, take a chill pill if you can't handle those facts. Moving on from our politics segment, because this is a variety show, I'm here to recommend this book. We're in the culture segment of the show now. Bergdorf Blondes, a novel by Plum Sykes. A debut novel, or a debut novel, you know, potato, that describes in a satirical fashion, the lives of Manhattan it girls, and does so in a remarkably fascinating way. Some of the reviews here on the back, haute couture chick lit, sort of an outdated term there, but I do agree with the first half. Now, this novel came out in 2004, when 2000s era it girlism and paparazziism was at an all-time high. That was the status quo back then. Which, you know, pretty awful. But it had to evolve into what we have today, which is pretty alright. But let's stick to cultural topics. Let's stick to the topic at hand. I got this book for $8.50 at the Strand in Manhattan, sort of near downtown, on the lower end of Manhattan. After being unable to find it in Barnes & Noble, even though Barnes & Noble is typically my go-to. And I have been fascinated by the tone. The subject matter is a little bit surface level, to say the least, but that's almost the point of it. And what I find particularly fascinating about this book, in specificity, is that the shallowness is the point. The superficiality is the point. And you're meant to envelop yourself in this atmosphere where, in this world, in the world of this book right here, these things matter. You know, the titular Bergdorf blonde hair color, hair dye, that the main character and her friends desire matters tremendously to them, even if it may not matter tremendously to you. And if you're unable to get to that level, then I would check your empathy centers one last time. Because you do have to empathize with the unnamed main character who is only ever referred to as moi, defined as speaking French by page 5, by the way, hence the moi-ness. You do have to empathize with characters like this, and that's perfectly okay. It's a fascinating book, it's a fascinating read, and it'll either be relatable, in which case you can comment on the realism, or it'll be entirely unrelatable, which in that case makes it fascinating in an intellectually curious way, if that's how you have to sell it to yourself. So that's Bergdorf Blonde's Plum Sykes 22-year-old novel, still relevant to this day. Get yourself a copy. That's what I'm reading. What are you reading? I'd go to the phones, but this is not a live show. Could be in the future. We'll see. Let me know what you're reading. Now on to the food segment of the show. I sort of spoiled this a little bit earlier. Hate to say it, but I did. Have to leave the viewers wanting more. Have to keep them tuned. But today we are reviewing one half of a toasted bagel with cream cheese that I got in Brooklyn. And yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good indeed. Good job, New York. Well, that concludes the show. I hope you enjoyed the politics, culture, and food segment. Perhaps we'll add more in the future. Perhaps we'll even have a guest segment one day. But for a pilot episode, I'd say that went pretty well. Let me know what you thought, and tune into the next one whenever that happens. This has been The Normal Show, and I am your host, Mr. Normal. See you next time.